are done. They're going to peak on average, and the economy will start to slow down. And of course, that's why governments have had to step up so much stimulus. But there's another thing important that happens this year in 2015. The everyday person did peak in 2007 at age 46. That's when the average person spends the most money. Well, the most affluent people, the 20% that drive over 50% of our income and spending still and are being goosed up by all of this QE because it makes the stock market and their financial assets go up. And this 20% owns like 90% of the financial assets. They're doing better than ever. But age 53, that's at the end of last year, 2014, that's when they peak and turn down. Their kids leave the nest. They slow down in spending. And the same year is when car sales, the last of the major segments, because housing obviously peaked first in the early 2000s, and then furniture in 2007, the other big sector. Well, the last big sector is automobiles. Automobile sales are going to turn down in the next couple of years, and people are not going to know why. And some of the smartest investors, George Soros and Warren Buffett in the world, are making major acquisitions and investments in car retail dealerships, the worst place you could be. So we use demographics to look around the corner. 2015 is going to be a pivotal year. We warned last year that Germany and Italy were going to start to go in Europe, and then one country after next falls off the cliff. And that's why we call this recent book The Demographic Cliff. It started with Japan, a giant baby boom peaking and turning down. Then it shifted to the U.S. Now it's shifting to the affluent sectors of the U.S. and to Europe, one country after the next. If these central bankers think they've had to print a lot of money thus far, they're going to have to do way more, and the markets just aren't going to tolerate it. You can only take so much of a drug before you die of the drug itself.
Now, Harry, you broke this down last time. Your new book gets into it, and I want to look at some of these other graphs that you've sent along. I want to look at what's happening with the major stock market indexes. But shifting gears specifically out of the big issue into all the sub-issues, we see this liberal obsession in the West of not having children, of having children being bad. And I've had different demographers on to break down the fact that we need 2 people for every person. So for 2 people, we need 2.2, 2.4 children to be born in a country, and that we are not doing that now. The replacement rate is 2.2 for every 2 people, because obviously some people die in car wrecks or whatever. So you need more than 2 people to be born for every 2 people living just to keep the culture and economy going. But that's not happening. Japan's 1.3 children, Germany's 1.3, Italy's 1.3, some are even lower. This is accelerating. Then meanwhile, we have unskilled third world populations that are still climbing. And I see so many policies by the West being put into place to pretty much kill the West. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt that we're seeing the West commit suicide.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this is happening everywhere. Fewer kids per family. Like you say, most emerging countries outside of China are growing at more than replacement rate, but all Western countries, with a few exceptions like Australia and Switzerland, where only because they attract a lot of immigrants, are they more than replacing themselves. Every major Western country will see the next generation be smaller than this one. That has devastating consequences, not only slowing population, but even faster slowing workforce.
Sure.
How do you grow with less and less people working? But even more than that, in the home construction and home and real estate industry, there's going to be more people dying than buying homes, because old people are sellers when they die or move into nursing home, and young people buy. So it's going to cause huge changes that are very, very easy to project, Alex, but nobody sees it. Economists are hip. They do understand we're not replacing ourselves. They do understand there's going to be like 2 workers for every 1 retiree, which is absolutely not sustainable, especially at ever-rising benefits that are not adjusted for life expectancy. We'd be retiring at age 75 today if we adjusted since Social Security for life expectancy.
Well, we've got to go to break. When we come back, I want to look at Russia. I want to look at other things in the world economy, and I'll get your take on what you think's behind some of these really aggressive, dangerous moves, in my view, by the West to destabilize Russia, where you see oil going, and a lot more. And then phone calls for our guest, all coming up straight ahead. Again, I'm Alex Jones, Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.tv. And if you want to see these graphs and more, Go to Infowars.com/show. You can see it all right there. But your calls are coming up for Mr. Dent straight ahead. Stay with us.
When an emergency happens, you could be left to fend for yourself and your family. An outbreak of contagious disease can happen anywhere. Because we're faced with more diseases than ever before, we need a better solution than ever before. Fortunately, there is a simple, effective way to protect yourself. Supernatural Silver is a revolutionary silver solution that is clinically shown to be several hundred times more effective than colloidal or ionic silver. And it's powerful enough to help protect you and your family from deadly viruses, bacteria, and fungus. Supernatural Silver is effective against more than 500 different disease-causing pathogens without encouraging drug resistance and without side effects. Supernatural Silver is scientifically supported and is the #1 choice of thousands for improved health and immune system support. Go to supernaturalsilver.com and use the code SILVER2015 for 30% off. That's supernaturalsilver.com. Give yourself and your loved ones a fighting chance.
What good is a Big Berkey water filter?
We get that question a lot here at BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. And in a word, the answer is protection. Protection from water main breaks, E. coli contamination, environmental chemical spills, pesticide runoff, chlorine taste and smell, and all forms of fluoride. Plus, Big Berkey water filters are the original gravity water filter system and most trusted on the market for a reason. Tested by multiple independent NSF EPA certified labs, they are the gold standard in water purification. At only 1.7 cents a gallon, a single set of filters can last for 5 to 10 years. That means big savings. Big Berkey, the one that's powerful enough to purify stagnant pond water. Get a Big Berkey today at BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. GCN listeners receive 5% off all ceramic filter systems. Visit our website or call 1-877-99-BERKEY. That's 877-99-BERKEY. Big Berkey Water Filters, for the love of clean water.
Hi, folks. Alex Jones here with some important information. I want to tell you about Matt Redhawk and his team of patriots over at My Patriot Supply. Several years ago, Matt was sitting in his 2-bedroom apartment, frustrated with the direction this country was headed and the charlatans willing to sell us out for a quick buck. Deciding to take action, a company run by patriots for patriots was born. My Patriot Supply has never taken a loan or accepted outside funding. They now operate 2 distribution facilities and employ over 50 hardworking American men and women. It is rare to find companies who practice what they preach. And that's why I stock my pantry with high-quality storable foods from My Patriot Supply. Go to mypatriotsupply.com/Alex today for special offers on emergency food storage, or call their preparedness specialist at 866-229-0927. That's 866-229-0927. Do business with someone who shares your values. mypatriotsupply.com/Alex.
Healthy elimination is essential to high energy, a cheerful mood, and prevention of disease. Some of the founders of our modern holistic health thinking state that disease begins in a toxic colon. A toxic intestinal tract is the foundation for virtually all degenerative disease, and a clean and well-moving intestinal tract is the foundation of health.
I just want to say that you folks have an amazing product. I've taken whey protein products for years, and I've never noticed the results I have with your product. I've suffered with bouts of constipation most of my life. Within a few days of taking One World Whey, I noticed a dramatic change. Also, in the past few years, I've experienced symptoms associated with diabetes. I feel horrible when I've had too much sugar, and I've been getting the foot pain as well. But I've noticed in the past week or so, I'm not feeling bad anymore, and the foot pain is gone. I'm just finishing up a 5-pound tub I ordered and just got off the phone ordering more. I love your product. Thank you.
Call 888-988-3325. That's 888-988-3325. Or visit oneworldwhey.com. That's oneworld.com.
Don't forget, the nightly news will be transmitted tonight, 7 o'clock Central at prisonplanet.tv with the rest of the InfoWars Nightly News crew. I'm Alex Jones. Harry Dent is our guest, harrydentresearch.com. You can find his latest book, The Demographic Cliff, which is absolutely essential reading. I know that callers want to talk to our guests with their specific economic questions. That's coming up in the next segment. But since you were on a month ago or so, or 3 weeks ago, there's been a lot of developments, a lot of saber rattling. John McCain saying, let's back up Ukraine militarily against Russia. These are just insane statements out in the open. The media claims Obama is vacillating on Ukraine. No, he's not. He's just not admitting that they are sending more troops, more armor, more weapons in there in a hot war with Russia. I mean, I think it's clear that's going on. Just economically, how does this affect things? Why would the Western establishment, in your view, I mean, you've ran a lot of operations for Bain Capital, you're a smart guy, you've been around the world. Looking at this, what are your colleagues saying as well about what's going on here? Because a lot of the former analysts and current analysts say this is one of the most dangerous things they've ever seen.
Well, you know, it is, and it's because we're in a dangerous cycle. Ever since 9/11, we call it the geopolitical cycle. Things were wonderful in the world from 1983 and into maybe early 2001. And then we had 9/11 hit, and it's been one terrorist attack, one civil war after the next. And this is just another thing. Russia broke up when we started winning the Cold War, and they kind of had to surrender into the last cycle being positive. And that was a big relief for the world when that Cold War threat wore off. Well, we're back in it. And now it's the Middle East, and it's Boko Haram, and it's ISIS. But, you know, Russia broke up, and it's in Putin's interest to kind of put it back together. I mean, their demographics are poor, especially as you go forward. Oil prices are dropping. The ruble has collapsed. They're in big trouble. Anything he can do to expand. This is exactly what Hitler did in the Great Depression. When everything was down and Germany had gone through a hyperinflation crisis and stuff, he decided the best way to grow was to beggar thy neighbor, take over your neighbors. You know, what do they call it?
Lebensraum.
Yeah, a hostile acquisition, you know. And so, you know, that's what he wants to do. And what he does, like any other guy like him, when he sees an opening, goes for it, then he kind of backs off for a while, you know. So he's just looking for openings. I mean, he's got every reason to go into Ukraine. And the question is, should Europe and the U.S. fight him? Because we keep trying to get out of wars, but there's more civil wars in the Middle East and other places. And here we got this. These stuff do threaten trade. They do threaten a lot of things for Europe and us. So you know, it's kind of this other thing. Do we go in there or not? But it's hard to win these wars. And we're kind of like running out of the ability to do this sort of thing. But if I tell you, this geopolitical cycle does not turn up until around early 2020. So we keep telling people, whether it's more civil wars, where it's the rise in terrorist activity now in Europe, which we're not surprised at, ISIS getting more and more defiant and just brutal. This is likely to continue for the next...
Yeah, what does the demographic bloom in Muslims in the Middle East mean, that population explosion? I mean, that's just a natural thing then to invade other countries.
Yeah, I mean, they are one of the highest demographic, you know, for births, their whole population. The poorer populations in general have higher birth rates. What I noticed the other day, I was just doing an analysis for one of our articles in our newsletters, and I was just saying, you know, look at this rising terror thing in Europe, and where does it come from, and is it all Muslims or not? And, you know, it's not. Number one, the countries, the Middle East and North Africa, are the only region that have an absolute, you know, 90% plus Muslims. So that's number one flag. The second thing, which is more important to me, it's in the Middle East with the sudden rise in wealth of oil that these countries didn't just gradually move into the modern era like Indonesia or Bangladesh or other countries or Malaysia that have high Muslim population. They were suddenly thrown. You know, this wealth in the West versus the kind of backwardness and poverty of their nations. And then you go and turn around and look at countries like Indonesia that's almost all Muslim, and I've been in Indonesia twice extensively. These people don't have any civil wars to speak about. They don't have insurgencies and all this discontent. So it's where you get this concentration, where you get this clash of West versus older cultures, that you get this. And I tell you, this is bad. These people are fighting for their life. They think they're right. That's what we don't get. They think they are right, and they have to do this, and they'll go to any extreme. And that's what makes it so dangerous. The same thing. Putin's backed in a corner. He's got to do something, or Russia just died.
And the West is trying to basically cut off their oil sales. I mean, the West is trying to kill Russia. And what do you expect a bear to do when it's down in a corner on its knees, being attacked by 10 wolves? It's going to come out swinging. And the elite are very reckless to be pushing this. I mean, and that's why experts are really freaked out right now. Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back with your phone calls and our guest, Mr. Dent.
We're on the march.